you can see the mother was a little uneasy because she honestly felt like at any second her son could take a swing at me. And like I said, I can't blame him. You know, if I was in the same situation, I would have had the same feelings. Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. San Jose, as you can see, it's going to be a little smoky today. So thank you, firefighters. Thank you, everyone out there who's doing their job and volunteering with what's going on right now in California. So thank you very much. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to yet another video. There's still a lot to be left, a lot to be said about the service department, but I wanted to kind of look into and kind of explain some of the issues with the mechanics. So just like everything else, everybody kind of gets paid commission at the dealership, and the mechanics are also, in a sense, also getting paid commission. They're kind of no different. They just get paid differently by the dealership. So as a mechanic, if you could log in 10 hours, 12 hours in an 8-hour day, you're going to get paid for those 10, 12 hours, even though you only worked 8-hour shift. So, I mean, a lot of the times these mechanics are being pressured to stay positive. And, you know, a mechanic, even if they don't log 8 hours of work, they're still going to get paid 8 hours for their shift. And technically, the dealership is now losing money, or the service department is now losing money. This brings me into the situation where one of my mechanics put me in a really bad situation. I felt like I was going to get punched in the face. And what happened was, I had a customer, you know, she was Hispanic, so she felt comfortable with me. She felt like she could trust me. So after, you know, performing the maintenance on her vehicle, the mechanic brought it to my attention. You know what, this lady's brakes are almost gone. You should probably call her up and advise her to replace her brakes. So he recommended brakes, and a lot of the times the service writers, they don't look at the vehicle, they don't look at the bikes. 90% of the time, the only time the service writer sees the vehicle or the bike is when it's on the front, or when they're receiving it from the customer. And that's the only time the service writer sees that vehicle or sees the bike. We wouldn't see it after that, okay? And there's a few times, rare occasions, where there's warranty work or something's going on with the vehicle. The mechanic would actually call us over to the back so we could, you know, have a better understanding of what's going on with the vehicle or the bike, what seems to be the problem. So called the lady. Called the customer. She said, go ahead and do it. Now, a brake job, you're looking at about $600, $700 at the dealership. Yes.
What? All I wanted was an oil change. Sign right here and press down hard. There's no price. There will be.
It's going to cost people an arm and a leg. But, I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but the brake pads alone, you're looking at about $40. So where's all that money going to? It's going to the dealership. All right. So then we went ahead, got the brakes done. So then at the end of the day, the lady comes back to pick up her vehicle, and I don't know, I just kind of noticed the energy was a little bit off, because her son came straight over to me and started calling me a snake, started calling me a thief, started calling me, all kinds of con artists, all kinds of stuff, stuff that I can't even say on here. But and you know what? This was all in Spanish. You know, I'm just like, whoa, hey, let's, because he was getting in my face. So I was kind of confused. I'm like, what's going on? And the lady, my customer, she was kind of like, yeah, mijo, cálmate, yeah, telling her son, calm down. We're gonna get this resolved. So then I was just kind of confused, you know, caught off guard. I was caught off guard with this whole situation. You know, we spoke on the phone, and I had mentioned, you know, to the customer son. I was like, yeah, I spoke to her and I told her that she needed brakes. The mechanic told me, and he just kind of said, you know what? I changed the brakes. This was the customer son. I changed the brakes recently. So how are you gonna tell me that the car needs brakes? And then, you know, he mentioned, he's like, all right, well, show me the parts. And I said, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's go into the shop and let's go talk to the mechanic. And then we're going to show you that she needed the brake job. Because if it was at 20%, 30%, then we always recommend brakes. So me and the customer's son, we walk in there. You can see the mother was a little uneasy because she honestly felt like at any second her son could take a swing at me. And as I said, I can't blame him. You know, if I was in the same situation, I would have had the same feelings. I would have been just as upset, if not more, about, you know, these people taking advantage of my mom. So we both go in there, and we went straight to the mechanic. He was already on another vehicle. You know, like I said, they're trying to crank out these work orders, and I had mentioned to him, all right, where's the brake pads? He was kind of wondering what's going on with the whole situation. Like, you know, I had told him, hey, the customer had mentioned that they had already changed the brakes, you know. And so then he got jittery, and I kind of told him, hey, show him the brake pads. Okay, so then he's going through the trash, he's looking for brake pads, and he can't find any because all the brake pads he's pulling out, they're all about 60-70% of life on them. So at this moment, I'm just kind of like, oh, you son of a bitch. Like, man, like, how could you put me in a situation like this? And it's frustrating. As a service writer, you don't have control over this stuff. And this kind of stuff is what screws the dealership over, but they're encouraged to upsell and to log work orders, log hours, have a positive revenue. They're encouraged by the dealership, by the service shop. So after, you know, fumbling around looking for brake pads, he just kind of gives up and says, oh, I threw them away. And in my head, I mean, like, in my head, I know the layout of the shop. Every technician has their little, you know, their little cleaning station, their rags, their own trash bins. So in my head, I was kind of like, oh, you threw them away and you put them in somebody else's, Bob's, and John's trash. Like, is that where it is? So, yes, you can imagine the frustration on my behalf and on the customer's, you know, son's frustration was really high. And in the end, after everything being said, the lady was able to, you know, calm her son down. Of course, he was very upset, and they still paid the bill. Yeah, they still ended up paying the $600. Yeah, I mean, they didn't even ask for anything. They just said, you know what, the customer, she was more cool down about it. She just wanted to get out. She paid the bill. They paid the brake job. They left, and I never saw them again. They never came back to the dealership. Never. You know, horrible experience, being lied to, and, you know, being scammed out of their money over a service that didn't have no business being done, but that's what happens. And a lot of the times, these mechanics, they just want to move on to the next work order, and they'll skip steps. They will not test ride it. They'll hand it over to a porter or somebody else to kind of put on a couple miles, and then they just kind of cross their fingers and hope a check engine light doesn't turn on or anything like that, or, you know, depending on the repair, nothing leaks. And they'll probably just look it over and be like, okay, they'll release it, and then, you know, and then sometimes there's leaks, there's situations where the repair wasn't completed, and there's also situations where, you know, people just get their vehicle, their bike back, and they're just dirty as all right, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like if you like the video. You guys stay out there, ride safe, be safe, and later.